I came here to the Rwenzoris at the recommendation of a good friend.
Once I heard about the Rwenzoris, I said yes.
Rwenzori was definitely number one on my bucket list. Before I go up to higher mountains, I can't go out to climb mountains in different countries when I haven't yet conquered the ones in my home country.
I'm happy to be in the Rwenzori Mountains once again, which I believe is among the most beautiful parts of the world.
I usually stay pretty fit and fairly active, just everything from mountaineering, skiing, hiking, biking. I will admit after an illness half a year ago, I'm probably a little less fit than I typically am.
My name's Carrie Wong. I'm from Anchorage, Alaska. I have never climbed anything like this in the tropics. I don't usually climb in tropical locations. And so from the plant life to just the changing climate zones from down at the base here to the glaciers at the summit is just fascinating.
My name is Tim, and I came from Alaska to check out Uganda and heard so much about the Rwenzoris that I figured I'd better come. And I've been climbing for about 25 years since I moved to Alaska, and really enjoy the mountains. So anytime I can come to an area that's new to me, that has different things to see, like the lobelia and the different animals that I've never seen before, then I'm all in.
To prepare myself, I had to hike Mountain Elgon first. I went up to Peak Wagagai through the Sasa Trail. I believe I have enough training.
The climbing was harder, definitely harder than I expected. The mileage, just even on the trails to get to the mountains, I'm used to being able to cover significantly more miles in a day, and I was kind of in disbelief when it would take hours to go such short distances. I've never seen so much mud in my entire life, ever.
The altitude is the only thing that usually gets me. And on this particular trip, the altitude went well because the guides were so expert in knowing how slow to go to acclimatize. I was very impressed with them.
I've climbed a lot of mountains, but it was seeing how excited the guides were to have us at the summits. They were really excited for us.
I think the Rwenzori is a little bit underrated, only because I was hearing that these mountains were walk-ups, but based on the mountains here create weather, you never know what you're going to get. And my experience here was that I got a little bit of everything, showed up on a full moon, all the mountains were aglow, start climbing the first mountain, winds raging, everything's changing constantly. Then on Margarita, we had some pretty good snowstorms, and then we had rain, turned all this slick rock into very dangerous, and but definitely filled with adventure. And at every level of the mountain, there's a different adventure waiting for you.
Just snowing with me right now. My goodness, unbelievable.
They are definitely very underrated. What I just did was a 3-peak challenge, and I would like to challenge everyone to do the 3-peak challenge on Rwenzori.
They were definitely a little more challenging than I had expected. Weather was definitely a factor in that. I think if we had had drier weather, they would have been a little easier.
I feel exhilarated. There's many points where I felt like giving up, but mentally it has put me in a position whereby I'm not about to back out on any of my goals.
I would need to actually be a little selective about who I would recommend this to, because it was a little more challenging than what I had expected.
Coming to Uganda in the first place, because, you know, for me, traveling across from Alaska to anywhere is a big ordeal. So if I were to live on a bucket list situation, this would be number one right now.
I definitely exceeded my expectations with this mountain because I got to climb 3 of the highest peaks on the mountain Rwenzori, which are also 3 of the highest in Uganda. I climbed Mountain Stanley, that's the one with Peak Margarita. Then I climbed Mountain Baker, that's with Peak Edward. Then I climbed Mountain Peak.
I did have expectations. I expected to see the full moon, which I did, and I expected to see all the different plants, which I did, and I saw the chameleon, which was a big deal for me, and camping amongst the lobelia was just mind-blowing. Just having the moon glowing on the mountains around there, and who could ever argue with coming to Uganda to go up on a glacier and climb a mountain?
I'm totally happy. It was, if I can do something that's outside of what I've done before, absolutely, I'm happy.
What I just did was a 3-peak challenge, and I would like to challenge everyone to do the 3-peak challenge on Rwenzori.
I don't know what I expected. I expected to do some climbing. I expected to get up on a glacier, and certainly those things met my expectations, but it was far more varied terrain and interesting terrain, and it was really fun to climb with people who have lived here their entire lives, and their lives have been these mountains. So as far as that, I guess it would have exceeded my expectations. It really was a trip not just about the mountains, but about the people here.
The highlight of the hike was definitely snow falling on me when I was coming down from Peak Margarita, and also coming down from Mount Baker. Yeah, it was something I did not expect. I mean, it was raining ice.
I've been dreaming of reaching the glaciers, but I met them, and I'm happy now.
The experience was pretty phenomenal. Everything from the flora is just out of this world. I would call it almost like Dr. Seuss-ish. The one standout factor, I think, is just all the crew, from the guides to the cooks to the porters. That was probably the most outstanding of the entire trip.
The highlight for me was connecting with all new people, connecting, you know, to the guides who are the local indigenous people, from coming into Uganda to check out Kampala, to see the dancing, to learn about the different 56 tribes and the history of Uganda, and just all the different plant life and the wildlife, and just all of it, really.
If someone is interested in hiking the Rwenzoris, as I did, I would recommend him or her to use Kwan's Travel. Gives the best.
Rwenzori Mountain National Park is a World Heritage Site that has very beautiful rivers, mountains, valleys, plants and animals. This mountain has the highest peak, Margarita, which is at an elevation of 5,109 meters above the sea level. It has very beautiful snow site, which ranges from Elena to the summit Margarita. Rwenzori is called Rwenzori because it is actually, before it was called the Mountain of the Moon, and it is a rainmaker. This mountain is very, very beautiful. It has plants like the giant lobelias, which is so very beautiful. When you reach at the valleys, looks very flat in the mountains. It has very beautiful lakes, the Lake Bujuku, the twins in Kitandara Lakes, and Mahoma Lakes. These are beautiful lakes that you can be able to reach on.
Hi, this is Sharon Ireta Kasigwa of Nkwanzi Travel. We are a tour and travel company based in Uganda, and our name Nkwanzi means beads, opals. Our forefathers in many parts of Uganda delicately handcrafted beads, and they gave them to people they love as a sign of their affection. We as Nkwanzi, we delicately craft and create immersive experiences for our clients, for our guests, experiences for our clients in travel, in adventure tourism, that is mountaineering, in safaris and tours, in Uganda and outside Uganda. We are mainly focusing on mountaineering in Uganda because Uganda is blessed with beautiful mountains. Specifically this time we are doing the Rwenzoris. It's a good season to do the Rwenzoris. We've hiked and summited the highest point, which is Margarita. The Rwenzoris are a marvel, a world marvel. There are 16 peaks that can be summited, but the main massifs are 6. And we are doing the top 3 highest, apart from Alexander, which is also on Mount Stanley. And the expedition is taking 8 days of hiking and 2 of travel.
I feel great. I feel great because, in fact, you know, we were kind of told that it's a 70% success rate to climb Margarita, and I don't know so much about Speak or Baker, but we learned that there was many different people on the mountain, and our group was the only group that's summited this week, so we feel pretty good about that. I mean, it was definitely, I think if we would have got the snowstorm before we were heading up, it might have changed things, but since we had already summited and coming down, we just had to survive the last part of the mountain.